I earned my first millions doing eyelash extensions. I was able to buy my first car. I was able to rent a studio where I started working from. And then I moved out of my family house into my own rented apartment. And I was also able to graduate from the university with a 2-1. I know, right? Hats up for the girl. So you might want to ask me how I got here, and that is what this video is entirely about. Today's video is just going to be a story of myself, where I started from and how far I have come in life just by doing eyelash extensions. I keep using just because the layman will always refer to my craft as just. And I get myself in these scenarios most times where I'm being asked, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I do eyelash extension. And they're like, is that all you do? With that confused expression on their face. So the question is always like, you mean you were able to get a car, you moved out into your apartment, you have a studio, you have staff that work with you as a lash technician? I'm like, yes, that's what it is. I'm going to take you through my story of how I started and how I got to where I am doing just eyelash extensions. And I know I made this video on this channel, and the video was on how to start your own lash business with no capital or with no money at all. So when I made that video, it then occurred to me that some people might still think this is just a motivational talk from another beautiful lady. So how I got into the lash industry, I was still a student in the university, and I was currently studying mass communication. And I got to this point where I was so disturbed that I had to always call back home to get money to do anything, like my pocket money, school fee, feeding money, everything. Like if I needed money for anything, I would have to place a call through home and then wait for them to respond. I started feeling like I wanted to earn money for myself. I wanted to be able to, want something and to get the thing with my own money without having to ask and wait on my family members to get me that money. So I decided that I was going to start a business in school. The common businesses you see girls doing in school is either they're selling hair, they're selling bags, shoes, clothes, all those things. So I felt these places were overpopulated. I wanted to go into something specifically different from what every other person was doing. And so I started making my research. Mind you, at this point, you know what they say, students always have money, yeah? So I'm naturally a saver. I love saving, especially when I have goals. I will save until I'm able to get the required amount of money I need for whatever I want to do. So I always have money saved up for rainy days. Yeah. So I had this particular money sitting in my account, and I felt I wanted to use that money to start up a business. And I think it was about 200,000 naira or thereabout. What kind of business can I do? I started making inquiries. I asked different people. I asked questions of businesses and how profitable these businesses are. So one fateful day, I came back home. I was in Lagos, and I was having issues with this same account where this money was kept in, because the account was a student account. My school fee was sent into that account mistakenly by my mom, and the money was now more than what should have entered the account. So the account was blocked. I had to get national ID cards and all those valid means of identification to open up the account again. While I was doing that, I just got a call from one of my friend I used to know, the Harrison, and it was like, "Hey, Loveline, it's been a long time. Where are you?" Blah blah. I'm like, "I'm just in phase one here. I came to the bank." I was like, "Oh, really? He's in phase one. We should meet up." And I just went. We sat out. We started talking, discussing. He was like, "Why don't you go and learn eyelash extensions? You can learn from the same guy that trained me, right?" So after having this conversation with him, I go home and I was like, I think I want to do this. It's not something that everybody in school does. In fact, nobody in my school was doing eyelash extension at that time. So to be unique in my own ways, I felt I wanted to do something that nobody was doing currently. Then I told everybody at home that I wanted to go and learn eyelash extensions. And it was at that point I realized I sounded stupid to my family members. Everybody was laughing at me like, you want to learn eyelash extensions? Are you even serious? Like, you want to go and learn how to do lashes? Like, yes. I started, pitching the idea to them, and nobody was buying it. Thankfully, I had my money in my account and I knew I could use the money to do whatever I wanted to do. So I went ahead to pay for my classes. I started learning. It became frustrating at a point because, trust me, starting eyelash extensions is not easy at all. We all know, when they tell you you are picking one extension, you are placing on one natural lashes, the whole thing sounds like insane. So the work was not easy, it was tedious. I would sit for 4 hours, 6 hours trying to achieve a lash set, and at the end, I would achieve nothing reasonable. And then when I look back at the person training me, he's doing it back to back, and I felt discouraged. That why am I not getting this thing? And that was when I told myself, lovely, remember the money you have spent in learning this thing. You don't want to go back home and tell everybody you failed at it. So I kept encouraging myself that if the person training me was able to do it, if Harrison was able to do it, if other people in the brand were able to do it, I can also do it and become successful in this thing. So I started putting my all into, learning and making sure that I came out as the best lash technician. Now, fast forward to when I finished my training and I became good at what I do, to how I started, because it's one thing to have the skills to know how to do eyelash extensions, it's another thing to start the business itself. Now I've finished learning the craft. How then do I succeed in this industry? So my training was in 2017, and just when I finished my training and I began to work on one or two people, different model, and just when I was getting my foot on the industry, then came COVID-19. Guys, I just spent a whole lot of in hundreds of thousands to learn this thing. I have struggled so much over the months to become perfect in this thing. I have worked my ass off, done lashes on different models, on different people, free lashes everywhere. In fact, I did free lashes for all my neighbors, all my family members, everybody around me got a free lash set. Just when I was about to start taking in clients and be like, yes, it's time for me to start earning, then came COVID-19. And then lockdown. Everybody was now forced to stay at home. So, schools were closed and I couldn't work because nobody was going out. Everybody was at home. Who would be doing extensions to stay at home? So it meant I was not able to work again. It meant I was not able to, pursue the thing further by trying to get clients. And then at the point, it felt like I am so frustrated. I am so discouraged at this point. But then I felt this was an opportunity for me to use and grow my social media presence. Then I went online. I started taking courses online. I took courses on graphic designs, Canva designs, different designs on how to take pictures. I was able to build my Instagram page professionally, that when you come into my Instagram page and you would think I probably employed someone to do the work for me, but I did everything myself. I had the time to, write out my goals and my plans of how I wanted to grow, of how I was going to get clients, of things I was going to do. Remember, guys, I told you I was still a student in the university. You might want to ask me how I was able to shuffle between school and work. Immediately I got into school, I had this clear goal that I wanted to graduate the university with a first class. And this was even before I knew I was going to start a business. right? And when I started my business, like when I got into the craft of doing eyelash extensions, I had another clear goal, and that was that I was going to make for myself a space in the industry. I was going to make sure that I grow and become a successful lash technician. So now I had two clear goals, and I was not going to, let anyone down. I wasn't going to drop out of school, and I wasn't going to, put my business on hold. So I now needed a clear plan on how to succeed and not sacrifice one for another. Yeah, I get it. Your next question will be how I was able to pull this off. So I stopped going for lectures. I know it's bad. I stopped going for lectures, and I made sure I printed out all the handouts. I printed out all course materials, and I made sure that I studied at least 5 hours every midnight. Even though I don't go for lectures, I always had a note of my own, and those were the notes I used in passing all my exams, right? So I stopped going for lectures, and I studied at least 5 hours at night. And during the day, I take appointments. So my life was just revolved around two aspects: studying and doing eyelash extensions. So for me, if I have a goal, I always like to plan myself. I know these plans and these goals I want to achieve, they have a timeline. So I don't mind pausing every other thing in my life to achieve that goal I want to. So if you don't see me doing eyelash extensions, you're probably seeing me studying. I was doing nothing else. So things like hanging out with friends, going out, partying, you'll never see me doing all those things, because I knew the time I would use to party, I would rather use that time to go and study. The time I would use to hang out with friends, I am busy doing eyelashes somewhere. I had to pause every other aspect of my life because I knew that this wasn't going to be forever. I was trying to build a brand that would be sustainable in nearest future. And I was still trying to be sure that I graduate my university with a first class. So every other thing was put on hold. During exams, I never actually closed down my business. Like my business was never on hold. I made sure that I was booking appointments to suit my exam timetable. So let's say if I had my last paper in school for like 4 p.m. and somebody calls me the previous day to book an appointment, trust me, I'm going to book that person for 6 p.m. Immediately I finish that paper, so I am leaving the exam hall. I am over to the person's house doing eyelash extensions. So most of the times I had to even go to exams hall with my work tools. So I just go with them to school. If I know I will not be able to go back home to pick them, I go with them to school, drop them in one of the cafe guys, and go and write my exams. Immediately I'm done with my exams, I'm picking up my stuff and off I go. So most of my friends in school were like, you now, wow, we don't even get to see you, we don't even get to hang out. After exams, everybody is downstairs, everybody want to discuss how was the paper, what answer did you give to this question, da, 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 da. I am not in that midst. I have got to do eyelash extensions. So there was this incident that happened to me once. I was just booking appointment back to back, back to back. I think this was like close to December period. December periods are the peak season in any beauty industry at all. And we were like trying to write our final exams and round up for the year. And I was having a lot of bookings back to back, back to back. The evil girl in me could not turn down most of this appointment. So I had to book them. So there was something that happened to me. I had like 3 papers the following day, and I was able to study and conclude two. The other one was the last paper. I was like, I'll go through that last paper a day before that day, throughout the night. That's what I would do. I'll just do it throughout the day of that day and into that exam day. So I got a booking, and my head was like, okay, just quickly go. It's 2 hours, and after 2 hours, you'll be done. Then you come back and you start studying. That was how I went for this appointment to. I got there. So this lady has been my long time client. I've been doing her lashes over time. So when I got there, She was like, she just wants to do something a bit different from what she normally does. So she's all those very natural people. In fact, it's a classic lash she does, and it mustn't be so long. The highest she can do is 10 or 12. So she was like, she's traveling, she's going on vacation, she wants something, a bit popping. Ha. When I heard a bit popping, I was like, okay, maybe this baby is ready to slay. Was I went in with 15 mm. Somebody that doesn't do longer than 12. I don't know how I ended up doing 15 mm, and the lashes was full because the only thing in my head was she's going for vacation. She wants it to pop. She's ready to slay. So yeah, let's give it to you, baby girl. And immediately I finished after 2 hours of sitting down there, dedicatedly doing these eyelash extensions, and I get to give her a mirror, and she's like, "Lovely. What is this?" I'm like, lashes. And he was like, no, I can't take this. This is too much. I can't even step out of this room wearing this. It's too much. Guess what, guys? We had to dissolve the entire lashes. So dissolving takes like 30 minutes. We had to dissolve the entire lashes and started all over with a new set. I ended up using close to 6 hours. I got home, it was 7:30. I was tired, I was exhausted, I was hungry, I was anxious because I've not studied for my last paper of the following day. Guys, I could not even open that book. I had to sleep. And I found myself the following morning. That was when I woke up and I was like, okay, I am done for this paper. I am done. I ended up in school. I had to go and write the first two, and then I had like 3 hours before the last paper. So I used that 3 hours. I went to hide myself somewhere, and I was trying my best to make sure that I cover as much as I could. And the grace of God found me because every single question I was asked in that exam was like the first and the second topic in that course, and that was what I was able to read. So it was like God just gave me direction on read on this part, read on this part, this is what is going to come out, and I just focused. And I was studying that part so dedicatedly, and I got into the exam hall. I was able to do it, and yeah, so those were my stories writing exams. They were always like that. I always had to, run in for exams, finish my paper, run out because I am going to work. And I think I was able to pull it through because, when it comes to eyelash extensions, you have to book appointments. Yeah, and it was left to me to give them my available time. So we always had a thing like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not available at this. Then we move it to a suitable time. So I was at liberty to book my appointment for any time I was available for. That's the difference between working as a lash technician and having a 9 to 5. If you have a 9 to 5, you might not be able to do this thing I was able to do because your boss at work will expect you to be at work. But for me, I was the boss of myself. I could book the appointment whatever time was suitable for me. During this time, I had no studio, like I had no working space for my clients to come in because I was still battling between work and school. I had no time or money to even get a space to start taking in clients from. So it wasn't even in my list. I was doing strictly mobile service. Anybody that's calling me to book for appointment, I'm like, I don't have a working studio. I do strictly home service. And they give me their address. I get deposit before I move an inch because I don't want to get to the location and the person say, oh, I'm sorry, I have to cancel on you. Even if you cancel on me, I have my money in my account already. So I always took deposit before I move an inch. Doing a mobile service, I was able to, save time because I had no place I was gonna, try to take care of and I was able to save money because I wasn't paying rent, I wasn't paying utility bills, I wasn't buying furnitures or trying to set up, a place and make it look all tush and all accommodating. So every single job I was doing, the money was going directly into my savings. So I kept working and I was saving, I was working and I was saving. And at this point, they were still paying my school fee. Like baby girl was living the baby girl lifestyle. Though I was hustling, they were still paying my school fee, but I was working and I was saving the money. So it got to a point I was like, you know what, you guys can't keep your money to yourself. I can pay my school fee. So in my 400 level, my last school fee, just one semester, I was able to pay that one myself. And from there, that was when adulthood started. I started taking care of my bills myself. So, guys, yeah, I had no studio. I was doing home service. I was able to save more. As I was working, I was gathering clients and I was saving up money. Before I realized it, your girl was already a millionaire. Like I had money saved up enough for me to get my first ever car. And I went for it. So right from communicating with the dealers to concluding on the sales and then shipment down to my place and the paperwork and everything. I had to do everything myself because I was able, I had the money sitting and cooling in my bank account. I'd already left school, of course. And then I got my first studio where I started working from. And then I started taking in trainings because when I had no place, I could not do trainings. I was not going to go to somebody's house to train them, of course. And then baby girl felt it was time for her to be a woman of herself. I decided that I was going to rent myself an apartment and move out of my family house. Basically, because my family, we had to move from where we were in the Lekki axis. That relocation that my family did became very inconvenient for me because where they had to move to, if I was going to come from there to where my studio was every day, with Lagos traffic and everything, it was going to be so hectic for me. I actually did it. I tried it for about 8 months. I lost weight. I became darker. So I, at that point, everybody in the house agreed that it was time for me to try and move back to where we moved from. And that was how I got my first apartment. And yep, every single thing, every single achievement has come from me working as a lash technician. If you have been paying close attention to everything I've said, you will not hear me saying I went to work, I was doing a 9 to 5 or this, or somebody gave me money. In fact, starting my business, I was not able to get anybody to give me capital to start because remember I started as a student. I was still in school. The only money anybody want to hear me ask for was probably school fee, handout money, materials money, keep up money. Nobody was even going to listen to me saying I needed money to start my business. So I didn't even bring it up because I had no rented place to work in. I was doing strictly mobile service, no expenses whatsoever. As regarding my business, the only thing I was doing with the money I worked with was probably to buy my materials for working. And if you are a lash technician in here, you will know that buying those things are not quite expensive. You can use a lash tray for as many as 8 to 10 clients. So it wasn't so expensive getting the tools to work. So I was able to, work and save money. Okay, I actually rented, I think I rented about 4 studio places before I moved into this beautiful place where I am now. And then I will not forget my school part because this story is into aspects. My school part, I was still able to graduate the university. I did not drop out. I graduated with a 2-1, even though the initial plan was a first class, right? I think, in fact, I would have graduated with a first class, just that my school, they don't have sense. They decided not to give anybody a first class. Like my entire set, nobody in mass communication graduated with the first class. So, yeah, second class offer was like the best graduate of the year. So, yeah, I graduated with a second class upper in mass communication, and my business is still doing very fine. My business was not sacrificed for that certificate. My business has in fact grown over the years. Even after my graduation, my business has skyrocketed too. If you have been following me through this discussion thoroughly, you would notice one word I've used constantly is planning and having a goal. I was able to do this thing because I already had a plan. Like going into the university, I had a plan, I had a goal of what I wanted to graduate with, right? And then starting my business, just learning the skills alone, I already knew what I wanted. So I had a plan and I had goals. So I wasn't just moving by the wind. When you have a destination in mind that you envisage, you will always, most times, have to sacrifice something for that. I had to sacrifice my social life. I sacrificed, partying, going out, hanging out with friends, having fun. I sacrificed all those things because I wanted to graduate the university, and I wanted to build my business to, a very good point. And now I graduated with a 2-1, and my business has been doing very fine. I even have staffs that are working with me as lash technicians. I have employees right in my studio. So I can tell you now that I have achieved my goals and my plans, and now it is time for me to have fun. It is time for me to, party as much as I want to, go out, make friends, hang out. It's never too late. In fact, this life has phases. If you understand that everything happens with time, you will stop putting yourself in so much pressure. What your other friend is doing is not necessarily what you should be doing, because everybody have different phases in their life. They have different times, different primes. That might be your friend's time to have fun and party and do every other thing. It might not be your own time. So you have to know what God plan is for your life and be able to align yourself in this plan, right? You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to do things because other people are doing it. When I was doing all these things, they were laughing at me because I was looking like the whole world problem was on my head, which was not. It wasn't as if I did not do all these things, I was going to die. I still had family members that were still catering for my needs, but I wanted to build something of my own and be independent. But now I have achieved everything I wanted. Not like I have achieved everything in life. My short-term goals I had then, I've achieved them, and I think I can say now that I have enough time to party, I have enough time to have fun, to go out with friends, hang out. And I'm going to do that proudly now because I have the time, I have the money, I have the liberty to do all those things. If I wanted to do all those things back then, I would have been limited because whose money was I going to spend when I go out, right? So this is me encouraging you that you can start anyhow, you can start anywhere you are. You don't necessarily need to wait and get huge amount of capital. If you've listened to my story so far, you'd realize that I do not have anybody sponsoring me or any huge capital. The only money I know I invested in my business was the initial money I used in doing my training, and that was like me clearing up my accounts because my training alone was like around 150, 200 thereabout, and that was in 2017. I paid that much for my training. That was the only financial investment I did. After that, because I paid in full, my training came with a full kit, and I was able to start working with those things like the lashes, the glue, the tweezers, everything that I had during my training were the things I used in working. And I was able to work with those things for a period of time, and I was able to get more money. And then I started buying one or two or three or things after working at. It was just like that. You don't need to wait on anybody to fund you to start a lash business. I would say it again, you don't need a huge amount of capital to start a lash business. You are just wasting your time by trying to procrastinate and wait for that money. You don't need it. Start with the necessary things you need to achieve a good lash set. You can do a home service, a mobile service. You don't necessarily need to buy a mobile bed, because even when I started, when I come to your house, you either lay on your bed or your couch, and that's where we're going to have this thing done, and I'm out. I had no money or time to, start carrying lash bed, and imagine me going to exam hall and I'm carrying all those property. It won't make sense. So all I had was my tiny small cute bag, which I was taking everywhere I was going, and that was how I was walking. I am encouraging you today. Start. Just start and be persistent, be focused, know what you want, set the plan for yourself, and trust me, with God by your side, you're going to achieve this thing. You're going to make it big in this industry. I promise you that. Thank you for seeing this video till the end. Let me know what you learned in the comment section. And I hope this has been a source of encouragement to you all there to just start. It doesn't have to be lash extensions. Anything at all you want to do, just do it. In fact, there's no perfect time to start anything. Just start it now. Now is the perfect time. Start it anyhow. Make mistakes in it, fail in it, errors in it, everything, but make sure you start. Thank you, and do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you think that my content are the kind of content you need to help you grow. Please subscribe and like this video if it was helpful to you. Thank you. Until next time, we'll see you. Bye.